Okay. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning from wherever you are in the world. This is Grace Olugbodi here, the creator of the Race to Infinity Maths game and the author of the Make Maths Fun book. I've got a very beautiful lady with me today, Cassie.
Hello.
Hi, Cassie. Hi, Cassie.
Hi.
And hi. And we're starting this series titled Horrifying Stories About Mathematics. And it's all about learning experiences about maths and what people have gone through when they were younger, when learning maths, and what they felt about maths as they grew up. And I'm going to always put a spin on this and talk about, once you finish telling us about yourself, I'm going to put a spin on this and talk to parents about how they can support their children more with mathematics in the light of this story, because there's bound to be some parents who are going through this exact things for their kids at the moment. So I'm always going to put a spin on it at the end and tell, from my experience, what parents can do to prevent the situation that you were in, and or to reverse and combat the situation you were in for their children, so that their children can have better learning experiences with mathematics and also stay confident with maths through childhood or as soon as they listen to these interviews. So we're really excited. You're the very first person on this interview series that we're going to be doing. So I'm really excited to hear your story. I'm excited as well for parents who are going to be listening to this. And my prayer is that it really helps parents to help their children love maths more, enjoy maths more, build confidence, and also build more opportunities for the future. Because I always say that what we went through as kids with mathematics, kids are going through now as well. Unfortunately, this problem is still the same. However, we could get away with not getting confident with maths when we were younger. Not to say that it's anyone's fault, but we could get away with it. Now it's a more competitive world, and even youths are finding that they're not going to be able to get good jobs without being very confident at maths, or at least comfortable enough with maths. Whereas in the olden days, the world wasn't as competitive, and there were some things that we could get away with. Let's just put it that way. So nowadays, I'm really out there to support parents and help their children. But some parents have also gone through bad experiences with maths when they were younger, and now it's telling on their children, and that's the importance and the power of this interview series. So we're really looking forward to hear lots of testimonials coming from them, hearing stories about you guys, starting with you. So thank you, our pioneer, Cassie.
I'm big.
Great to have you. Okay, so yeah, thanks for coming. Now, could you tell us a little bit about yourself? Just what you do and what's your background, just general background, and not to do with maths, just generally what you do.
Yeah. So I'm a play therapist and a counsellor and a specialist tutor. So I spent the most part of my life, most of my career, working with children and young people, but more through play. So as a play therapist, I help children deal with their emotions and any sort of challenges that they might have through the medium of play. And I also, as a tutor, I also work very much in the domain of play as well. So I try and make learning as fun as possible. And my area of expertise is more with reading and writing and literacy. So definitely nothing related to maths, because that's...
I said, don't talk about maths yet.
No. Horrifying traumatic stories about maths. So I definitely don't think I'd be a very good maths tutor. So yeah, I help littlies in other ways. That's what I do.
Yeah. That's brilliant. What I love about the world is that all of us have some special skills that we bring to the world, and there are things that we can do that no one else can do, because that's what we've been called to, and that's our mission. So it's really interesting that you're a play therapist, a counsellor, and a tutor, did you say?
And a tutor.
Okay. So you combine all of that in one. So which...
Yes, I don't really see the separation. I started off more as a tutor, because I was a Montessori teacher, and what I found is that a lot of children struggled with their learning, it's because they had anxieties around learning, and they had perhaps low self-esteem, or they were lacking in confidence. So through games and through playing and through joyful, fun activities, I was able to engage them more in their learning experiences. So I very much infused the therapeutic side of things with the learning, and I still do that today, although I focus more on the play therapy now, but I still do a bit of tutoring as well. But there's always a play element involved in that, because I think that's the best way that we all learn, is having fun.
Certainly. And this is what I keep talking about as well, that, you know, games are really a key form of learning for children, you know. And my mission, I always say, is to turn mathematics into a game that every child would love to play every time. And it sounds like you're exactly the same as me, except it's literacy, isn't it?
Exactly that. Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. We should work together. We should work together.
No, Grace, we need to have more chats like this one, and yes, collaborate.
Right. Definitely. We must do that. Okay. So if I can just ask you a few questions. Don't worry, not to maths examination. Or a test. But we're still going to score you on it, by the way.
Okay.
Just joking. Okay. So complete the sentence for me, Cassie. Maths is
horrible.
Oh my.
That's honestly, that is my initial thought. Horrible, scary, and impossible. There you go. There's three words. Yeah.
Do you still feel that way?
I feel less that way now. But for the most part, yes, I think I still do feel that way. Yeah.
Oh my. Oh, so sad. I'm gonna have to take myself out of my body all the time because I feel sad whenever I hear anything that means that somebody suffered as a result of mathematics, especially kids. You know, so I immediately want to jump and do something and help them straight away and all that, but I can't do that on an interview, and I can't even do that to adults unless they want to. So I must get you into my maths tricks anyway.
Yes, please.
So maths is horrible. What were the two words?
Horrible. I think I said difficult and impossible. I think impossible is definitely a key word for me. It still feels pretty much impossible for me to understand. Some aspects of it, not all aspects, but quite a lot of aspects are really difficult for me to understand.
And you know, I think it's quite upsetting, really, that I don't see any real global move to stop people going through this maths problem. You know, I don't see it.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think times have changed since I was at school. I mean, definitely when I was at school, it was just the most horrific. I went through the most horrific experiences with trying. I'm saying learn maths, but I didn't learn maths. I tried to learn maths and came out of. I think when I got to GCSE level, I'd just completely given up. So I don't think I didn't even attempt my exam paper. And no, well, it's quite a funny story, but it's very tragic.
I'm glad you're laughing about it. So.
Because it's so tragic. I mean, I got to a point with my GCSEs where I had given up. I'd had such a horrible time leading up to my GCSEs. In primary school, maths was awful. In senior school, it got even worse because it meant more, and more was expected of you in senior school. And then when it got to O levels, to GCSEs, I had just completely given up, had lost all motivation, all interest. And so I was put in the bottom set for maths. There were 5 sets, and I was in set 5 with all the boys that like to just muck around. So not only was I in a classroom of people that didn't like maths, but no one was engaging, and everyone would just throw things around the classroom. And I didn't even try anymore. For the last 2-3 years of school, I didn't even try. And when it got to the actual exam, I actually went to the exam, which is amazing. But I sat down at the exam, I looked at the paper and drew a picture all over the paper. in lovely ink. I was a good artist, so.
So you did what you were good at. So okay, so we can't do this one. Well, let's do this instead then, and just see what they'll say. So
And I didn't even attempt a question because I knew I wouldn't be able to do it.
really, so
Yeah.
you couldn't. So I know you'd given up, but in an examination, people kind of feel like it's an examination, like, and they kind of just try. Could you just not? Because this is all more psychologically,
Yeah.
more psychological, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
you must have really felt that you really believed that there was no way.
Yeah, I believe there was no way. When I look back, there was no way I was going to pass that paper. There was no way I was going to get a decent grade because I just didn't have the skills, because I hadn't learned anything in the 3 years leading up to GC. I hadn't learned anything because I'd completely switched off. And also, thinking about it, it actually makes me quite emotional thinking about this. I wasn't expecting to get emotional, but
Oh God.
my teachers gave up on me. They didn't instill any hope in me. They didn't encourage me, because I was kind of put in the bottom set and kind of like closeted way.
And it's so sad that teachers they I don't think that enough teachers know the impact of what they do when they are looking after children, because they've got problems of their own, which is they are overwhelmed. They are some of them don't even like maths and are having to teach maths because they're told to teach maths and that's their job, so they have to do what they're told. And some of them don't have enough training, and all that, so some of it is the government as well, stepping in and doing something and getting the right people involved who can tell them what needs to be done in the schools to help teachers, because they need help, because maybe that teacher wasn't good at maths themselves and couldn't bring themselves to say another person can get good at maths, because to instill the belief into someone that they can do something, you have to believe that you have to believe they can do it. But to believe that they can do it, you've got to look at yourself as well. If you don't believe that you can do that thing or anything, then you can't encourage someone else to. Yeah, sorry.
And no, it's fine. I always think if a teacher had asked me, I mean, no, amazing. I went through all those years of schooling and never did a teacher sit down and say and ask me the question, why do you find maths difficult? If they just asked the question, maybe I could have explained it to them, and then maybe they could have found a way to make it less difficult for me. But no one seemed to care enough to ask the question. I think maybe it's important that teachers ask the right questions. If they can see a child is struggling, find out why they're struggling. But my teachers didn't seem to care enough to find out more about me and how my brain works and how I process things and how I learn. And because I know we all learn in different ways. So I ended up by the wayside.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry about this. And I wish that, I wish I was there to tell you that you can do it.
Yeah.
Because I want to tell you now that you can do maths.
Even now.
Still,
I don't believe you. I'm in my 40s and I still don't believe you that I could do it.
I promise you that you can do maths. What topics did you struggle with the most? Maybe we can help you there after, going forward. What topics did you struggle with the most?
Yeah, so looking back, I'm just trying to think. I mean, basic addition and subtraction I was okay with. I think I was all right with multiplication. It came when it was things like fractions, algebra, geometry, way off the scale for me. Percentages, and interestingly, percentages is something that actually it feels quite relevant to my life now. Like there are quite a few occasions where I wish I could just work out a percentage, but I just, luckily we have Google now, so I can just Google it. Or my boyfriend's a mathematician. He is the opposite. He took his GCSE. No, he was doing O levels because he was a bit older. He's a bit older than me. He did his O levels 2 years early because he was so good, and got an A or a B. I think he got an A. The complete opposite.
Amazing.
but yeah, I'd love to
Make a good team. Balance things out.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, go
Finally,
on.
yeah, percentages I think would be something that would be relevant for me now. And I bought my, we were chatting about this some months ago, when I was in the process of buying my flat, and I was having these meetings with the mortgage advisors, and they were talking to me about percentages and interest rates, and I was just looking at them blankly, thinking to myself, I can't work this out, and then trying to cover it up by
You
not
didn't want them to know.
I know what they're talking about, and I'm just not understanding it, and feeling really embarrassed, and also feeling really intimidated. I've always felt massively intimidated when I'm having those conversations with the bank or the mortgage guy or whoever it is, when it's something to do with numbers, because I just don't get it.
Why were you trying to cover it up? Why did you feel that why did you not want them to know?
Because I felt shamed. And I think I still feel it. In the moment, I feel quite ashamed. Yeah, I feel like do
you know why?
I feel like I am. Yeah, good question. Why? I guess I've got a bit of a story running that maybe I'm a bit thick, but that's ridiculous because I know I'm not thick at all.
You're not thick at all.
Mathematics. It's almost like if there was a side of the brain that deals with maths, mine doesn't work. That's what I think. It's like that part of my brain is just the off button is permanently on.
I don't agree with you. No. I want to bang the table and say, no, I don't agree with you.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah. We're definitely going to have a chat off the live. You know, my whole thing is about the fact that I tell people, because of my story, which I don't want to say here because this is about you.
Yeah.
But my story showed me that maths is really only a skill. You know, when my life turned around from the support that I got in mathematics, I you know, and that was my father that gave me that support in a creative way. But I realized that there is no such thing as a maths person or a maths brain.
Really? Wow.
Maths is really only a skill, and any skill just needs deliberate practice with the right guardian. So maths is much like riding a bicycle, learning to ride a bicycle.
Wow.
It's much like learning to swim. You know what happens when you started learning to swim, for example, if you I'm assuming that you can swim. Okay. Yeah. So when you first started learning to swim and you felt like, oh, you're suddenly drowning, or you went inside water and thought, you know, did you feel like, oh no, that's it, like forever, just because you tried 2 or 3 times?
Yeah, no, I kept at it.
Yeah.
Driving is learning to drive.
Exactly.
It's something I was terrified of and never thought that I would be able to get to grips with. But yeah, obviously with practice, it's now second nature. But I never would have put maths in that same category. It's interesting to you say that.
It is. The role in the same category. It's just a skill. It just so happens, though, it's a skill that people perceive that when somebody is good at doing it or confident at maths, it automatically means they're a genius. You know, and you're a genius at English and literature and all that, and you're still feeling like, well, you are. You know, you are with what you do. You definitely are. You've turned around all these kids. You're changing their lives. You've combined your tutoring with counselling, with the therapy. That's amazing. That's like a holistic approach, actually, to learning.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah,
which is very, very unique and very important. You know, but that also is a skill, just like maths.
Yes.
Just see it this way. It just so happens that for whatever reason, no one's fault. We can't really blame the parents. Some teachers can be blamed, but I think most teachers can't be blamed, because if they're not confident with maths themselves, which remember would have started from when they were younger, which is also not their fault, because a child can't fix themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So if a child didn't have that parent or that teacher, then to tell them exactly what you said, which is like, you can do it. And why you're struggling? Okay, let's look at why, and let's look at why. All right, is it because you got this wrong? Okay, well, getting something wrong, it's part of mathematics, because then you do it again, you pick yourself up, try again, do it again, much like life, try it again, and then you'll finally start finding that path to get it right. And that's where the beauty of mathematics is. But if it's not been explained to a child that way by a teacher or a parent, certainly we expect teachers to do it because they're in schools, but parents still have a responsibility to do it. And parents don't know that they have this responsibility to do it, which is why I'm out there trying to support parents, to support the teachers, to help their children fall in love with maths. I would prefer, but they don't if they can't fall in love with maths, at least they'll get confidence with mathematics and comfortable with maths, because it's going to be very key in their lives going forward. Look at what you said about the mortgage company, about trying to get the mortgage and the percentages, because if you could just calculate it immediately then, maybe you could have said, I don't want this one. I don't want this product. I want that product instead. And I want that one. Thank goodness you've got your boyfriend. Otherwise, you'd have nobody to text to say,
I know. It's a bit I've noticed that when you're uninformed about something and someone is informed and they're talking to you, you feel you're the what's the word? They have some sort of level of power over you because you don't know what they're talking about.
No.
And that's quite a dangerous position to be in, actually.
It is.
When you
can't make informed. Yeah, a property, that's a major decision in life. It means you can't make informed decisions. So, and not many people would have like your boyfriend right there kind of waiting on the other end of the phone, or maybe with them to help them straight away. And sometimes it might be you go to the supermarket and there are some deals, and you need to be able to quickly work out whether that's a good deal or a bad deal. And there's so many, and this is such a wonderful story that you've told us, because it helps parents know how key mathematics is in life. The other day I had somebody send me a message about, and she was asking what they could do with nurses, because a lot of nurses are, first of all, giving up nursing during the BSc because of mathematics. Only because of maths. Because they can't get to grips with it while they're studying BSc, and there's a shortage of nurses. So these things are affecting the economy, they're affecting our lives, they're affecting the world, globally, And then also pharmacists, some of them get doses wrong because they can't calculate the right, and it's so upsetting because it's not their fault really, because they just didn't get that support when they were younger. And then when you look at who they didn't get the support from, the parents or the teachers, you'd probably find it's not their fault either, because one thing or another, perhaps the teacher didn't have the training, or they had bad experiences when they were younger with mathematics. The parents probably certainly the same, or just didn't know, which is why we're out there to educate people. So I really think that these stories would really, really change quite a number of people's lives, and then feed on to the children, which is the whole key thing. So that we can help them more. Now, so what do you think that what do you think could have been done for you at the time to help change your mindset about mathematics? I know what we need to do now, by the way, but you'd have to be willing. You'd have to be willing. So I'll talk to you offline about that. But what do you think that they could have done then to help change your mindset around whether it's your parents, or whether it's one of your parents or a teacher, or what do you think could have been done?
Well, so in primary school, my memories of maths were that I would be sitting there and looking at the blackboard. Those were the days we had blackboards in I guess it was the late 70s, early 80s, and
I have a blackboard here, by the way.
You have a blackboard? Proper chalk and everything?
I have got, I'll show you in a minute. It's right behind this laptop I'm using to call.
They still exist.
Hold on, I'll get it out. Just so that you can believe me. What is it? Pull it closer.
Oh, yes. I love a good old blackboard. Nice. Oh, no, there's numbers on it. Help.
Hilarious.
Oh, God. Just looking at it. I mean, I jest. I'm joking, but there is truth.
Yeah. I couldn't resist bringing it. But anyway.
Yeah.
It's so funny that you should mention it.
I know. I look at the blackboard, and it was just a load of squiggles on the blackboard. So the teacher,
like a language you don't
like
understand.
a language that I didn't understand, this coded language that everybody else seemed to understand. Well, a few of my friends weren't quite into it either, but I definitely didn't understand it. So I had to work out, Cassie, work out this squiggle, and I'd be like, what? And I say, well, how you work out the squiggle is you do this, this, and this. So I'd have to remember how to do this thing in order to understand the squiggle, but I just didn't understand the squiggles. So it was literally like learning Latin upside down. And so, but also because I used to get it wrong a lot, I used to make mistakes. I used to spend ages doing my homework and rubbing out and then having to redo it because I kept getting things wrong and making mistakes. I remember my maths books were full of great big rubbing out marks and then big. And I remember, I've just had a memory. My maths book, this is when I was sort of 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, had big red marks through it from the teacher of all the things I got wrong. So I was always getting things wrong, always making mistakes. And I don't remember my maths teachers being in any way sympathetic or patient with me. I think, what could they have done? They could have taken the time.
But they annoyed with you.
Yeah, it was like you're.
Why can't you get it, kind of thing?
You're bad for making a mistake. You're stupid for making a mistake. You're wrong and you're bad for making a mistake. So there was no patience and there was no care for me and for my little brain and for my emotions around it. It was just, very much that culture of you're getting it wrong, therefore you're naughty. And you have to do it again, and then you have to stay behind after school and everything else. Horrible. It's just
punishment for not knowing it.
Yes, I was basically punished and criticised for not getting it right, and that just degraded me, and obviously my self-esteem just went nosedived down.
Oh God!
And it stayed with me. Weirdly though, I excelled in English, so. It's kind of like English was up here and maths was down here. So I sort of made up for my hopelessness with maths by becoming very good at English, but still, yeah. So I think patience and care and if the teachers if they just asked me, as I said earlier, what are you struggling with? Let's see how I can help you. And also, I wanted to just add to that. The main problem with maths also, there was all these squiggles and none of it was relevant to me. Like, why do I need to learn this? How is this going to be relevant now or ever? Like, this has no bearing on my everyday life. I'm never going to use it. And actually, even now as an adult, I think there are certain things that I learned at school where
now you see that you were going to use it because you've given me a solid example in that mortgage that you were trying to get, So you weren't told by your teachers, because that actually is the teacher's job. Yes, the parents should do it as well, but this particular bit about trying to relate mathematics to real life or anything to real life is part of a teacher's job. And it's sad. And I think in those days, though, I think a lot of us went through, I think the way they taught in those days, anyway, generally across the board, was a bit like that in the way of,
old school, wasn't it?
I think old school, because even I had some stories like that. But for me, they're not bad memories. And this is because I happen to love maths now. Well, I didn't always love maths. I was sort of just neutral before. And I don't want to go into my own story, but what I wanted to mention is that one of our teachers, I remember that my maths teacher, from outside, when he was coming into the class, we would already know he's coming, and he would have a cane in his hand, and he would walk in, and all of us must be standing up, and he would say, 8 times 4. And you have to get it right, otherwise you can't sit down immediately. And he just points at you out of the blue. 7 times 8. And I remember that very, very clearly. And even I went through that, but somehow it didn't affect me negatively. And that must be because from a young age, when I turned around to become confident in maths, or when my father helped me to turn around to be confident in maths, it wasn't too far away from when I was having that experience. So I didn't have this other experience of my teacher doing that for many years, unlike you, who had it sort of throughout for a long time, and now stayed with you until it was until you couldn't turn it around, or nobody could turn it. You didn't have that opportunity to have somebody turn it around for you before you became an adult.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's where the difference lies, you know.
Yeah.
And I think this is a great lesson for parents to support their children more, even whether it's by getting a tutor or talking to the teacher or working more with the teacher. Now we're very lucky that head teachers and the government and everyone understands a bit more about care and about, you know, and they want to do things right, but yeah, the resources are not always there, the knowledge isn't always there, but at least we have that. You know, that's a good start, that at least people want to do things right. The government wants to do right by the children, and they want the children to get confident. They don't seem to know how, particularly, but at least they want to do it. You know, the teachers want to do it, and of course, we parents, we are actually the ones lagging behind, and we are still expecting the school to do it, and not thinking about the fact that we also have an equal responsibility, because we parents are the first. We're our children's first teachers.
Yeah.
You know, so but just to ask you one more question.
Sure.
Is there anything you like about mathematics? Because you have said now that you dislike maths and it's horrible and it's impossible. Oh God, that makes my heart. I actually feel something when I say that, because it's not impossible. Oh no, it's not impossible. Anyway, yeah. So we'll get into that later. But what exactly do you like about maths, if any?
What do I like about maths, if anything? To be honest with you,
You really have to think.
I don't think I like anything about maths.
Oh no.
Honestly. Why would I?
Oh my God, it's stuck with my heart.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I had such a horrible time growing up. I was told off relentlessly about not being good at it. I completely fluffed up my GCSE, and because I didn't have any hope, and my teachers didn't seem to either. As an adult, I've scraped through various experiences without it. Have managed to excel in other areas of my life. So it's not something I think about very much anymore. I don't think about it until you and I started having some conversations, and I realised that I'm quite psychologically damaged by my maths trauma, to the point now where there's nothing I like about it. And I've been a nanny and I've been a stepmom and I work with children, but I don't have children of my own. Okay. And if I did have a child of my own who was struggling with maths, then I'd be in trouble. What would I do?
I know.
What would I do then? Because I wouldn't want them to go through what I went through, and I'm still currently kind of going through. I'd probably have to hand them over to a very good tutor, but someone really patient and really kind, and someone who could really, well, you know, like you've been talking about, can engage them in a playful way, can make it more fun and interesting.
Yeah.
I think the only way now I could actually enjoy anything to do with maths if it was taught to me in a way that would make me have a bit of a giggle, make me have fun. Because otherwise, what is the point? I just wouldn't be. I can't be bothered. I wouldn't be interested. I've gone through too much now to relive. I don't want to relive any of those experiences ever again. Yeah, and it's just sad because I did actually quite like school. But yeah, maths was the downfall, really. All the other subjects I quite liked. But interestingly, science, I loved biology, but physics and chemistry I didn't like because they involved a bit of maths.
Yeah. So everything to do with maths.
So I didn't touch those sciences, so missed out on. And actually now I think physics is fascinating. I love physics. I love learning about the Earth and the planet.
Real life physics, you mean? Real life physics. Where you can't quite see the maths underneath it.
Well, people tell me about it, and I go, oh well, I won't.
Talk to the hand.
Talk to the hand, exactly. Talk to the hand. But if someone could explain the kind of real world physics in terms of maths to me, that would probably engage my interest. Maybe then I'd like maths, but I don't. Yeah, it's got to be fun.
Wow.
And it's got to be relevant. It's got to be relevant. You know.
Oh, wow. We're coming up to, we've just gone over 30 minutes, and I really wish I could go on, because there's so much more I want to ask you and say to you. And I know, and maybe we'll get you back and even talk about more things, because what I can find here is that when you talk about maths and you talk about physics and chemistry and why you stayed away from it while you were at school, it also means that whatever you might have thought of as a child, and you might not remember anymore, but if you initially thought, I want to be an engineer when you were maybe 6 years old or something like that, when you hadn't had these experiences about maths yet, you know, I want to be an engineer, or I want to be a pilot, or I want to be a whatever, anything. And then if you had now realized later that, oh, that's got to do with maths, because this has been the plight of many youths and many young people, and many even adults now, they realize that they cannot go through the career path that they really always wanted to go because of mathematics. And so they had to change and go do something else, which isn't really what they wanted to do. But what they wanted to do, they couldn't do, because they had experiences like you had when they were younger. And unfortunately, they couldn't see how they could, you know, turn that around. And then they therefore didn't study that career. Do you know how much of an impact that has made on people, you know?
Oh, I bet it's huge. And actually, it brings up something for me, because I was, when I was younger, I was considering doing a psychology degree. And then I heard that there was lots of statistics involved in psychology degrees. So I didn't even look at that as an option.
See? As if I knew that there could be something there that, you know, took you away from it. But now you're counselling, so you found another way around it, sort of. You know, so maybe you didn't quite go to psychology degree, and maybe you didn't quite go into full-blown psychology, but you found a way around it that doesn't involve math.
Exactly. I've escaped. I'm an escapee.
We honestly have to look at ways to start help, because what we do at the moment, we do with kids, with parents, to support their kids with maths, because we believe that catching them young, that's what I really believe, that catching them young is where we need to start from. Unfortunately, we can't start with everyone at once, but we've started with the kids. But I am going to start looking after, we've just gone over 3 years now, coming up to 3.5 years. So I'm now going to start thinking about how we can start helping adults as well. Maybe start from, I don't know, business maths or something, you know, and make that fun, so that adults can actually start learning maths in a fun way without realizing they're learning it, much like our Race to Infinity game does it for children. We can build something like that for adults. And it's a start, you know.
I think that's a great idea, because I think there's a lot of closet maths, I don't know what you'd call us, maths escapees that need help.
The committee.
That need help. That, you know, we're hiding in the shadows, and we don't want people to know that we're here, but we are here, and we do need some help. I think that'd be great to help the kids and the adults.
Wow.
Yeah, great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We will certainly put that on the list. And this is why I love doing these interviews, because then I can start to garner what people really want, to garner some support for what we can do to also support people who are going through this kind of things, whether adults or children. You know, I just hate to think about what you've gone through. And as a child, that's the same feelings you had. So at some point, you also felt like you didn't want people to know. This is what I see that quite a lot. The kids don't want to be shown up. They don't want to be called by the teacher in class. They don't want the other kids to find out that they're not really great at maths, you know, which affects people's confidence. And I've always said it can cause children to have low confidence. And I always say the words I use is which can affect their life, even as an adult.
Yeah, well, it's affected mine. Always. So
okay, we're going to try to turn that around for adults as well, because I can't watch it affecting you and not do anything about it, you know. Well, thank you. You've really inspired me to think about how to help adults, and I think the game would be a way to start, you know, creating a game to support adults would be a way to start. So we'll get like a
card game or something, I don't know, something.
Card game or a board game, yes, certainly. Yeah, I mean, because we already have created ways to infinity, and that's worked so well with kids.
Yeah.
Where if we work from that and then turn that into an adult sort of business maths game, it'd be faster than creating a brand new,
Yeah.
completely separate game that's not part of the
Really
series.
nice.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Great. There you go.
Thank you for
Great.
coming today, Cassie. Really, really appreciate your help with telling us about your story. And this story, the whole point of this is to bring out the parts of your story that's affected you, and how parents can support their children more, or even just letting parents understand that they have a part to play,
Yeah.
to support the children, because the teachers can't do it alone, and some teachers can't do it at all. So
Sure.
that's where our role comes in as a parent, and I think your story has helped to bring that out. That
Great.
parents, we need to support our children more with mathematics.
Fantastic.
Okay,
Yeah.
so until next time.
Until next time, Grace. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Cassie. Yeah, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Bye.